Now you gotta drink them, right? Yeah, use them, absolutely. You can. Oh, yeah.
All right, it's
6:30.
6:30. It's 4th of January. And this is our Gold Rush board meeting. So with that, we'll start and we're missing a motion to approve the agenda.
Oh.
No.
The agenda.
And the meeting minutes. Wow, I missed everything here.
Well, you just have the wrong, you have the agenda there, it's just that the dates are.
A motion to approve the minutes as well.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll
Second.
second.
On the did you talk about the November 6th meeting minutes? Or not yet?
No, we're
got it
doing
right
the
there.
agenda.
Okay.
I have, does anyone need an agenda? I have two on mine.
Hey,
You're assuming your agenda.
I do. Okay.
can't believe you have two agendas, most of us have at least one.
Thank you.
You gotta have a
All right.
plan B.
Exactly.
All in favor of approving November 6th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have our agenda. Six.
That was November 6th.
So agenda is, I was proposed in their December meeting. Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Oh, wait, we do that. We flipped it? Okay.
I think the prior ones were for November. Right?
Oh, I just changed the
Yeah,
dates.
approval of November 6th.
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah, so,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I have
Never
the
mind.
agenda first. Okay, so June.
So all in favor of the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I had not seen anything from Melissa. Have you-
I just double checked too right before we got started and she didn't send anything to me either. Usually she does.
So I just did the math on my checkbook entries.
Awesome.
So if you want to know what number I came up with,
Yeah,
as of today, in my checkbook entries, the balance is $7,177.73.
Say that.
Seven.
7,000.
7177.
0.73.
and that's after our overhead was added. The 7,000 or 8,000
Our holdback
holdback.
was 7 or 8.
It
Oh,
was
no.
8.
I think it was 8.
And we had gotten
200 or
two-
something, it was.
Donations. We got a $100 donation from Gordy Hall. And then we got a $45 donation from Mighty Cause Charitable Donation.
Cool.
Yep, and that one I would have had to go online and do some research to figure out who it came from, so I didn't.
A local person probably with ties.
Or I'm thinking a vendor,
Oh,
because it seemed like
that could be
the
too.
address was on North somewhere, so.
Okay,
Holy.
Yeah.
any other questions about the budget? Or the check? That's as of today then.
Has any other monies other than the donations gone out for anything? Yeah,
The donation, well,
other than the donations,
that we made to the city.
yeah.
I paid John Rask, our IT guy. His bill was $75 for the whole year. That was nice. I bought 2 rolls of postage stamps, because the price was gonna go up. So I quickly went and got 2 rolls because we'll be needing them. And otherwise, it's just our regular, BevCom, for the phone. Yeah.
Okay.
It's about
I
it.
just was wondering what we also had for, expenses.
Well, I think since November, probably that insurance check cleared. That would be the big difference. Cause in November, that insurance check hadn't cleared yet.
Oh, yeah.
29.
Yeah, 26 or 29.
Insurance check.
For the festival insurance, for Gold Rush Festival insurance.
Insurance to.
Late invoice.
Our insurance company here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they, what they do, refund us back or?
No, we hadn't,
Late.
we thought we had paid them in June and we hadn't. And so we had to cut a check in like October or November.
Late.
Yeah.
Yep. I never got a bill from them, so.
Yeah, they.
I went and paid it.
I didn't say, let's let us know.
They didn't cancel the policy, did they?
No,
No.
when I checked with them and they were like, oh, sorry, here.
I'm surprised the underwriter didn't say something.
Right?
I
To
know,
somebody.
I know.
All right, the next item was, we talked about this, in our November, just the over vitality of the Gold Rush event, and we talked to a lot of different aspects of it, but, I think there, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a general interest that we want to continue, but, and we'll kind of talk about that as we go forward here with all the other issues on the agenda too, but is that a consensus, I think, or?
I certainly don't want to be involved with being the guy that kills Gold Rush. Nobody, I don't think anybody wants to be known for that. But I'm so concerned. I'm so concerned with the amount of hands that we have. I mean, if we look at just the people that we have now and how hard it is for us to get together to have a meeting, if that continues to be an issue going forward when it really matters, like we could probably get away with that sometimes in November and or December. I was just having a hard time in November and December because I was trying to do outreach. I did an email to a lot of people who have been on the Gold Rush Committee prior to now saying we're having a tough time getting people. We really need help. Like, would anyone consider coming back for just 2024? I got nothing. Not a, we're so sorry to hear that. Nothing. Crickets. I got nothing.
I showed up at the door on the night we
Last-
planned on having it.
Last meeting, yeah.
And there was a note on the door that said it's
Yeah.
canceled. The week before, we had the discussion on.
I think that was,
That was
was
gonna
a
be that
text
night.
that was going on that one, and
Yep.
you just weren't included on that text.
No, I was included on the text. I didn't get it till the day after. For some
Oh, you
reason,
just-
my text didn't show up till the day.
Oh,
after.
wow.
I'm going, oh, I didn't know we had an
Yeah.
ongoing text on it.
And I
thought-
just.
thought it was a done.
So I'm
deal.
just, that's really concerning to me. And then in addition to that, we're in this process of having the bylaws rewritten. Which I think in all fairness, and I'm all for it, would exclude that requirement for city council members to be assigned to Gold Rush. And so there may be some people who are here from city council that would do Gold Rush anyway, and maybe there are some people that wouldn't. So what does that look like when those new bylaws come in? We're already having a tough time getting people as it is. And then on top of that, I was gonna bring to the meeting in December or, December. I don't know what day it is. Oh, I'm gonna start crying.
Okay.
Jessica called me. Jessica is somebody who we created a relationship with, who was a liaison for high school sports teams. And so because we have had such a difficult time getting volunteers as well. She was bringing in teams. She was bringing in like the lacrosse teams, the football teams, cheer teams, dance teams and things like that, that would fill all of our trash pickup and our bathroom maintenance and all of these sorts of
Yeah.
things.
Pine Island and Century High School, so
Yeah.
both schools that are associated with
Yeah,
residents.
and so, anyway, so she has stepped down. The person who they're not sure that they're gonna replace her as this transitional sort of team kind of liaison person. I did speak with someone who, because they're kind of up in arms and they don't know really what's going on either. They don't know if they're replacing her or not. A couple of the people that I talked to, like actual coaches, I reached out to coaches saying like, now that Jessica's not here, what does that look like? Do your clubs, you know, want to still participate or whatever, and I sort of got brushed off. That's very concerning to me.
So was the Cubs, was the teams doing more work for other organizations, the same type of thing? Or was it just?
You know, I think she had them, for the majority of the boys' sports teams, you know, we had them doing loading, unloading, setup. A lot of them were doing trash too. Dance and cheer were doing all of the liners, all of the trash, all of the bathrooms, all of that stuff. Every slot of every day of the entire weekend.
And plus they fading too, which was.
Which they added, and that was something that they added, and they put their people in there when they were not running around doing liners and stuff too. So that's highly concerning to me because,
Jessica worked a lot
So
during.
and Jessica
Worked a lot.
herself was on site and worked all day, every day from like 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. It was ridiculous amount of hours she put in, because also we needed the help.
So did that group and Jessica work with other Lions and all the cheese festivals? that kind of thing?
I do believe that they had some goings on with Pine Cheese Days. I'm not sure what else. I mean, I think they have their other fundraisers, but I don't know that they're doing a lot of volunteering for fundraising, which kind of just to just bring that full circle, I think another thing that we have to come to realize is, yes, also on top of that, those are volunteers that are coming in and helping us make our show a success. But at the end of the day, we're technically paying for volunteers, because when Gold Rush is over, we're donating back to their fan club as a donation.
Yeah.
So if you were to look at it in a certain light, like, we're so hard up for volunteers that we have sports teams coming in that I mean, yes, it's considered a donation on paper, but we're literally paying to get volunteers to come and help us. That's how hard up we are.
Plus they're getting paid too. In
Right.
a lot of cases, a lot of
Yes.
set up the vendors. to-
Correct,
Yeah,
yes,
for the
and they do
vendors.
make tips.
No.
They do make tips. But to replace
It's
them,
nothing.
it's going to be extremely difficult, because in sadness, really in sadness, the community hasn't been volunteer, people in the community haven't been volunteering for the last 2 years. There are our diehards that know what they're doing and have been our personal friends of ours and have done Gold Rush a long time, and they come and do information booth a day, a couple slots or here and there, but it's certainly the community is not where our volunteers are coming from.
Yeah, and we've still sent out everything to all of the HOAs, all the subdivisions. We're there during the, National Night Out. I got one volunteer from someone who always volunteers that I knew was gonna volunteer. That was the only person that signed up that whole night. We used to have the kids come and sign up, a lot of the youth would come and sign up that night. I know the one year we had a lot of them, but
That's,
it's
but
like
that's
nothing,
hit or
like
miss.
nothing. Yeah, I mean,
And it's sad, because I think we've done a phenomenal job. I'm sorry, I'll pat myself on the back for the amount of outreach and the organization now with the Sign Up Genius that can be easily shared, emailed, posted to pages, sent to friends. We're on Facebook, we're on other platforms as far as advertising goes. We print out flyers, we post them all over town, like it's
mhm.
just disheartening.
Has anybody heard anything, any chatter about why people don't want to volunteer? Is there any issue?
We're not isolated to this type of thing. There, a lot of organizations are seeing a drop in volunteerism. A lot of people want to be involved, but they don't want to lead or they don't want to volunteer for certain things.
Well, case in
So,
point, look at the school's PTA boards.
I mean, I just dissolved Centuries because I've been the president for 5 years or almost 6 years, and I had no leadership stand up. It was me and 2 of my, best volunteers doing everything for the last 5 years, and I just couldn't keep it up anymore because it wasn't fair to me to not have anybody step up, and it's not that hard. The PTA's not that hard as far as being a board member, especially at the high school level. So I had to make a decision to dissolve that. And
Well, it's like.
all of the high
anything
schools
else.
have dissolved their PTAs actually.
Yeah, and the volunteers, once there's volunteers for things, I mean, I see it with church too.
At year 5.
They just run those volunteers right into the ground
Because they don't have enough.
because they don't have
They're
enough.
spread so thin.
Yeah, you got that one or two.
Everybody wants it, but they don't
persons
wanna
that-
be a part of it.
Yeah,
Well, because they know that it's gonna be overwhelming or more than they initially thought.
yeah.
The issue is you have the same volunteer, the same 10 people doing all.
Yep.
the work.
Right.
Always,
And nobody else.
always.
We got the ones that, yeah, really, really care about it. And that's the thing is if we don't,
The legwork.
that's something that we say in the other organizations too. If, especially like with not getting parents to volunteer for certain events and stuff. If people aren't interested in helping out, then that event isn't important to them and then we just don't hold it. And that's kind of what we've done in the PTA as well. Because all these parents want to see all these events, but nobody wants to come and actually work them
Yeah,
or help out, even for an hour,
And I
so.
think like, to your question about like local chatter,
Mhm.
the stuff that I hear is people aren't interested per se in the antiques and in what goes on that weekend
And I've-
anymore. They're
I've heard
just
that.
not interested. So even the people that are living here, our very own community, like many of them don't even come down. They might come down with the kids and eat off of a food truck and hear some music and walk around for half an hour, but they're not making purchases or really supporting the show, or they come down, to support the fire department, something like that. And so I think that's the only chatter that I've really heard is, it's just not something that people are interested in. And it makes me sad because it's, this is just, it's a tradition. It's just what we're known for. It also makes me sad for the dealers because I know they're experiencing this across the United States. I mean, all of the state, these shows are getting smaller or they're being canceled and they're kind of fizzling out. And to be honest, we've all talked about before that some of the dealers are aging out. And so
But so many.
how much longer can we?
Is this year number 50? What year?
This will be 52.
Two.
I know that we started some of the discussion about things we could do differently. And one was a play area, dedicated family area, maybe down by the VFW and the K lot.
What's that gonna do for our vendors?
What's that?
What's that gonna do for our vendors?
Bring people
Well,
in.
what we do is,
The vendors need buyers. They don't need people playing down in the playground.
well, the idea of the K law was too, in our discussions in November was that we were talking about the K and the B lot. Consolidate those into A, D, and E. And the more we talk about that and the vendor, I said, Joanne and I have been talking about it here recently, but if we were to just take the K lot vendors, and there's about 18, 20 of them, something like that, and relocate those up to the B lot or A lot or DE or something like that, just to continue to consolidate and have the K lot be a kids ground.
And some of the,
Playground,
the
games,
initial
space
purpose for
paint,
that discussion,
backgrounds.
Paul, was to create more things that would make the community want to come. We were trying to create interest to bring in more shoppers, more people to come, was the thought process with that. But at the same time, we're continuing to consolidate, to use smaller spaces as we kind of shrink and, yeah, I mean, I'm fearful because I agree in one sense that, I mean, the show has been kept alive. And Carol certainly believed that the show really was for the vendors. It was to support the vendors. It was to support that community. And I think the board was doing it to support Orinoco, right? And those funds were nonprofit, all going back into the community in some aspect. But if you look at our profits this year and last year and the limited amount of donations we've been able to do and the decreasing in the holdbacks and all of the things, it's, it is Orinoco actually benefiting from doing Gold Rush continuously? Are we really?
I think the community as a whole continues to, the private donator or the people parking lots, parking cars, I think they appreciate that extra income. The fire department, we look at all the different utilities, the Casey's, the community as a whole. And to me, that's economic help to the city and to the And because it's with Rochester's Gold Rush days too, we have been going back and forth, so there's hotels and the whole scheme of thing. I think it does draw people to the area.
I think the Rochester one's kind of hurt us a bit.
Well, that
I've
was
heard
up
the
for
last
sale
couple of
though,
years.
isn't it?
Is it?
It has been
Yeah,
on and
it's
off the
still, it's
last
still going on.
couple, I think.
Well, I was just wondering.
Forever on for sale.
Well, no, what I'm looking at
There's
is,
the 2024 dates and stuff. So
I was just wondering what their attendance is like over there. Are they experience the same thing as what we are over
Yeah, I've
here?
never been to it, so I've been so busy here.
Basically, it's.
Yeah, because I've heard from people that you see here all the time and that I've known for years that,
Yeah.
and I know they come here and a couple of them were vendors here. And they go to Rochester and they said, a lot of your people are in Rochester. But I've also heard a couple vendors, and I think it was the one on the corner across from the fire hall, had mentioned, I heard it in conversation, that people aren't as interested in this. It's, you know, as years go by, people are more interested in crafts and other things, and antiques aren't as big of a deal. But there are still people that do come in that are, you know, are new and just love it. So.
There is a difference. I think we've seen a difference of the middle age repurposing,
Mhm.
that type of thing. They don't treat antiques as antiques. They treat it as how can I decorate my home?
Right, yeah, can I paint it and make something different?
That's a niche too. Still.
I'm just curious if in an effort to, and I am concerned also about you know, the businesses and the fundraising aspect for the fire department and stuff too. And I had a long conversation with Johan maybe a week and a half ago. Just like, you know, how do you guys do? Like, you don't need to give me numbers, but do you do well? Are you happy with the proceeds that you make it Gold Rush for the amount of effort that goes into it? And you know, have you guys ever thought about other fundraising activities, or what would it mean to OFD? Just as an example, if Gold Rush didn't happen, like what would that be like the end of the world, or what does that look like for you? And he said, you know, it would not be the end of the world, and they actually have been in discussion about having some kind of a summer, like, I don't know if he didn't really say street dance, but sort of what he was explaining to me. Where they would serve food as they do at Gold Rush, have live music, probably have a beer garden or something like that, and do kind of a one night just for like the residents, just for the community. He said that they've talked about things like that and a few other options. And so I feel like that could be an opportunity where some of us that want to be involved with if we're concentrating on Orinoco and bringing wealth and bringing community together in Orinoco, is that something that Orinoco transitions to versus hosting this huge event that is not very profitable for others that are not us?
Did anybody ask them the percentage of their annual intake, how much of it's actually Gold Rush?
They
How much
actually
other
make
stuff?
quite a bit of money off of Gold
Oh,
Rush. I
definitely.
mean, it really
I'm
does
guessing-
help them out
I'm
a lot.
guessing, is it 50%, 30?
I don't know what
You
the
know,
percent is, because I haven't.
He
looked at the-
said that their
That's what
profits
you're-
are typically under 20, but more than 10.
But I guess what my point is if- because you're talking about, they could do other events to fundraise for the fire department. Is this 50% of what they make? You know, what they
They
bring
right
in?
now are not doing any other fundraising.
Aren't they doing a chili feed or anything like that?
Well,
No.
when you start looking at the stuff for the raffles and that type of stuff, they're splitting that up with what goes on over there at Tilly. So that's not all going to them at all. You know, it's a percentage that goes to that. You saw the numbers that there were at the last meeting. I didn't bring those for the firemen. Do you remember what they were of what them?
Hey, don't
I've
remember
got it,
specific
you know,
number.
but
It might be in there. I'm sure the figures are there. So I
Yeah.
don't remember.
yeah, I mean, I've got the numbers, you know, but it's a good portion, but they have everybody working all the time doing it, and they do breakfast and lunch, okay? They give us back money to be able to take care of the bands, right? So they pay for that, so we've got the bands to go along with it, so.
The fire department's been covering that?
Yeah, they give us a donation they give us some money, we pay, but they give us some money to be able to do it, so it's all legit.
But they have been cutting their expenses, you know, they didn't do hamburgers. So now they're doing shredded beef or shredded.
And he did say to me, and I think the consensus is the same over there that it is here. It's an awful lot of work for a smaller group of people.
It's more of a community thing.
Right.
That they do it for.
The
And
community, they're, because that's what the fire, I mean,
That's what they're
that's
made
what
up.
fire departments do,
Yeah.
right?
And I'm wondering, would it help, just as an idea? Is this something that we, just have a community meeting and throw it out there to the community to show up and talk about it? Say, this is where our numbers are. This is in terms of what we're making, attendance, what's the trend? And put it to the
Because
community.
I do want to make sure that we're very careful and very respectful about how it is worded and how it is presented, both to the public and to the vendors and to the local businesses. I think
Right.
you do have to be real careful. And certainly, we're going to be careful. It's not something I don't think anybody's really voting for. But I think we really, really have to be honest about where we are with the amount of help that we have. Ryland, like it's very concerning to me. I don't know that we can pull off a show with the 6 of us, and I've reached out to everyone and their brother that I know, and now we have no volunteers on top of that.
And that's what I'm saying, if you put it out there to the community and just basically open it up and say, this is what we're looking at. Maybe we don't have to give them the exact numbers, but I mean like attendance and things like that and say, hey, are there any ideas? We want to keep this going. We think it's a good thing for the community, and would it help to get more people to volunteer if they see that, hey, this could go away because we're not getting the volunteers?
It's possible. I am a little bit fearful of the timeline on that because technically we need to have contracts getting ready to go out in February, end of February.
Yeah.
And so that's like our next month meeting. So we're getting tight on time and
So I do, I do think there are things we can cut from our expenses, the sheriff contract. We can drop that, that's $30,000 or $3,000.
What contract?
Sure.
Cut back the number of
Can we cut
golf
it back?
carts and,
Yeah, we were looking at the hours that they were in there because we didn't need them on one day.
Well,
the deputy's always a call away.
Well, we tried that one year of cutting back in the deputy sheriff's department. Sheriff's department says, no, you contract this much, you require this much help, this is what you're taking, or we're gonna force it. Basically, they're forcing it on you. What you've taken in the past, because they're using it for overtime for their officers. They're scheduling overtime.
Follow that logic, but I don't, from their perspective, but they're doing it, we ask them to do it, if we don't ask them,
Because we've
shouldn't
changed
be
the
our
hours
responsibility
before.
to ask them.
We can change the hours, but they're wanting the same number of hours each year, aren't they?
No, I think we
No,
cut back
we
this
cut
last
back
year.
Cut back an officer and
so-
hours, yeah.
Yeah, and the number of people, because, so we did cut back. And
Well, you have less square feet when you're only using half the town.
But there was not, I don't think there was a problem with that. I'm
Well,
doing
they've
it at all.
changed leadership at the sheriff's department, so
That's-
we're working with new
Okay.
people over there.
Okay.
And I agree. I think that there are certainly ways that we can cut costs and we can trim fat more than what we even did last year. I just feel like the fact still remains, we have a skeleton crew and we have no access to volunteers right now. And I think that's the bottom line of it right now. I don't know how else to address it. I have reached out.
You think there's other things we can cut in the budget, but what can you cut? You gotta have toilet paper in the outhouses.
Right.
Yeah, I have outhouses.
Yes, and so.
Toilet paper.
Right, but I mean, there are a few things that we can do, but I mean, if we can, even if we tried to pull it off with our skeleton crew that we have now, that means that you have to understand you're gonna do more this year. I have to understand I'm gonna do more this year. I don't really have time for that.
I don't know where we're gonna.
I don't know where you're gonna come up with extra time, but I mean,
The Air Patrol, they've been pretty good about volunteering.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're always.
I mean, they're good and they do a great job. I was just thinking about, maybe,
And they've asked.
Boy
you to-
Scouts, clubs that way that will turn around and
We used to have Boy Scouts cleaning up on Monday, but that's,
Yeah, that has.
No,
For the
we never-
Civil Air last year, they asked to do more. So I mean, if we didn't have the football players or lacrosse players, you know, do the, helping the setup and tear down.
And how many people do they have?
Right.
How many people are available? It's quite the number. It's quite the number that we require.
But any number is better than none.
Correct.
You know, so. I
And
mean,
if we
that is-
didn't have
that's an
quarter
option.
service, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but because we have offered it and there are certain people who
Needed
get
it.
here who cannot unload their own trailers, they simply physically cannot do it.
Yep.
That would not go over well.
Right.
You know, I'm not trying to correct you, you know.
Yeah, I know. And the other one, you know, like Pine Island, we can reach out to their football team or their wrestling team or, you know, whatever, their men, boys sports they have. You know, just, hey, we need help, you know, set up and tear down on these 2 days, you know, for this amount. You know, can we get the help?
And that can be done, but I'm just gonna just circle back, that's all extra, you know what I mean? It's an extra thing we have to do because we had
Yeah.
it
I
all
mean,
worked
the
out last
trash-
year.
The trash is
The
a
trash is
huge,
taken care of, though,
not
because
the liners and the
well,
bags
in
and.
the past, without, you know, the girls doing that part of it, the guys did it. The ones that were on the trash truck, they used to go and unload and my husband
And do
walks
all that.
around and, you know, takes out.
So there's definitely different ways to do things,
Right,
I just,
right.
it makes me very nervous to ride it out and start moving forward and not know, and you know, we're sort of working in this sort of abyss
Without a guarantee.
situation.
so do you think Jessica's replacement is?
They
It's
have
kind of
not,
a-
they're pretty sure they're probably not going to replace her position as a sports liaison.
The only reason I ask is if it was a mid-year decision and they're still, if they, no. I
It
appreciate that, but
happened
the
right
point is,
after school
because of
started,
mid-year,
she
would
didn't
they
wanna
still
tell me.
Consider doing that into next year.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
the coaches weren't interested in talking to me, I'll say that. One coach was actually pretty rude.
Benefit Century?
This was someone that I talked to in Pine Island. And it was actually a girls' team coach, which also was surprising, just speaking woman to woman, it was, yeah. Anyway, but you know what? A lot of those coaches are there volunteering their time to be there as a coach. They don't have the time or the people to
Yeah,
organize
yeah.
fundraising events and do all this stuff either, so I do have to understand, like, that's what Jessica did. Jessica helped them do fundraisers and get them to events and be seen and do advertising and,
Jessica.
And she was chased
Jessica,
after, just.
her name's Jessica Jacobson. She's her family does live in Orinoco. And she was the Pine Island Girls Cheer and Dance coach for the last several years. She was also a local Southeast Minnesota sports like team liaison where coaches and teams could work with her to do volunteering, to do fundraising, to find grants and other monies available for travel costs and things like that.
Sure.
And so not only was she helping us with that, but like she was on a golf cart all day, every day, the whole Gold Rush weekend, running volunteers and doing whatever. I mean, wherever the holes were, she was on there.
Mhm. She was a
And
hard
but she was
worker.
pretty instrumental too, and,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be, that's another thing, it will be tough, it'll be tough to run the show when we get there without her.
So how can we raise the amount of income Gold Rush brings in? Volunteers is one thing, but
We did, there was also some,
that doesn't mean anything if it's not.
and there was, so we
Producing.
also had some discussion about introducing raffles or doing a duck drop, or something like that off the bridge. These are all additional new things though.
What's a duck drop off the bridge?
So you can buy, like, pre-Gold Rush, you sell $1, a rubber duck, whatever. So kind of like a meat raffle, whatever. People buy a duck for $1. They don't physically get the duck that day. They just sign up to like sponsor a duck.
You can throw it off the bridge?
We throw them off the bridge and you have somebody down there who catches them, whatever. They do also have duck drop recyclable ones in case they get away from you.
You say,
Oh,
That will
yeah,
degrade in the water.
Yeah.
So they actually have specific ones that are safe to be doing these kinds of activities with. I just newly found that out. And then they are assigned a number.
Biodegradable.
And so all the ducks have a number on the bottom. You drop them off and you have a winner, whatever. It's a fun thing to do in the community and, oh, it's $1 a duck. So I'll buy 5 ducks. I don't care. I mean, so, but again, these are all new activities like the children's
have to
area and all,
create it.
so somebody has to create it, somebody has to
Get
research it, somebody,
sponsors.
yes, and so
And
again, I just feel like,
How much do ducks cost?
you
They're not
can,
gonna be free either.
no,
To reuse
Sorry,
them,
if I'm,
Huh?
you can reuse
Now
them.
that they're, now that they disintegrate in the water.
the other way, the
Yeah,
other
that's a
way
one-time use.
that we make a lot of money is t-shirt sales. So we were talking about doing a bigger order with like 3 or 4 different designs this year. Again, though, money has to be spent to do it.
You gotta lay out money to start.
And so these are all like, yes, we've talked about ways to get better profits. Yes, we've talked about ways to trim costs. Like my major concern, every time I say something that is so promising in my brain, I just, my heart drops and I just think, how are 6 of us gonna do this?
well, let me just share with you what the bylaw situation where we're at right now. I just want to get that in front of everybody in our discussion too. So I did talk with Mike today, I talked through email. It's still on his list. I asked him, we were having a meeting tonight, could he give me an update and where he was with the bylaws or what he would commit to. So he did respond this and says he's been very busy in general, but he's going to work with his staff to have a draft for all the documents at our February 1st meeting. He initially started with Sunny, and Sunny was gonna do some of the drafting of the documents, but she's no longer here, so he's gonna pick up the project as a whole and work with his staff and have something back to us on the February 1st meeting.
Is he volunteering his time to do this?
Yes, there was a commitment 8 months ago when we talked about having to dissolve the city Gold Rush nonprofit status. And so they committed to doing this and also fighting for new incorporation laws. And that would be at the expense of, no expense to the job, the Gold Rush Committee. So there's no financial commitment for.
Did he dedicate a certain number of hours to working on this?
We didn't ask, he didn't tell us, so it's all free, free grant, so. So that's when we can expect something. I think the direction that he's talking in the bylaws is the 5-member committee instead of our 9. And so that would help with our quorum, but it would also take the approach of taking subcommittees, which gets back to a volunteer of subcommittees as well, but. So that's the current status on our bylaws of being developed, so. So the one thing that we talked about expenses, but I do think that if we decide not to have Gold Rush, and how do we, I like the idea of the community meeting, but I think those same people probably at the meeting, they're probably sitting around the table here, that would come in and share the concern, or
Except for the 2 that.
maybe the private homeowners would be, because they're gonna be missing that.
could
part.
we do, can I do like a Survey Monkey on the citizens page? Which I think that's helpful and I think people would comment there or take the survey, but not everybody is on Facebook or follows the citizens page in Orinoco either. And so I just am curious in all fairness, are we missing a portion of the community that should be?
Are you one of the admins on that page?
I'm not an admin, but I am on there quite frequently. She is, yep.
Let me ask you this. How many locals are on there?
Oh, I can let you know how many members there are.
You know, it's because they're not all locals that are on there. There's people that just follow Orinoco.
No,
Yeah,
it's
just
878 members and you have to be a resident of Orinoco. Or we've also opened it up to business owners that are not a resident, but they do have a brick and mortars place or bring, things in. So there are probably some that are not because before it was just everybody kind of coming in when we first got opened and then, but a lot of people weren't understanding what was going on in Orinoco. So we just kind of make it Orinoco residents because we felt that was most pertinent.
That's the citizens Facebook.
Yeah. So 878 is what I have currently.
I just worry about reaching out to, kind of that older population, especially some of that senior population that lives right here in town that are doing some of the parking of the cars and those people that we probably should be talking to. But that's something we could do, if we don't have time for a meeting. I guess we could try to see if everyone could show up for like a special meeting before our February meeting.
We could call it a special meeting, yeah. I mean, that could be at the end of January.
Well, do we have this, do we have the sign out here working yet that somebody can put information?
Yeah,
on?
we're getting closer, but yeah.
Okay, I'm just curious, because
Yeah.
you could just put that question right there. Who wants Roanoke Gold Rush to go away and put the date on it for the meeting? Watch them show up.
And with the website.
But if you do the Survey Monkey, you know, for the locals down here, I mean, we could knock on doors and talk to them.
Yep, it's up to, if people have time, if people wanna try to do that, we gotta do it this month. I mean, it has to happen before our February meeting, cause we need the feedback at that meeting. We'd have to already have feedback. I wholeheartedly agree with you, Ryland, about just how it affects the economy in Orinoco for that weekend. I fully understand that Tilly's and the gas stations and everybody, could be affected by that, and maybe not so much. I mean, we do sell our own ice here. Most of them are coming with campers. They bring their own food.
We netted about $800 profit on that.
Yeah, but is that gonna be the thing,
That's dollar figures.
right?
And you know, it's kind of like we're just in the wrong period of time, because I think the downtown is gonna explode at some time soon. Because we've got businesses that are starting, there's opportunities, but.
And this doesn't
Not right
necessarily
now.
need to be a forever, Gold Rush is canceled forever. You know,
But once you do it 1 year,
I understand.
that's it, they're gone.
I understand that that's what should happen, but it could be presented as such if that's how we really felt that this, you know, due to the situation with space and construction and volunteers and just hands-on, like, it's just,
So what do we need more? We
Take a
need
breath.
vendors
Take a breather
Come back.
and give us some time this summer to reach out and find those people and build up the board and figure out how we're going to staff or get volunteers for 2025. They're all options. I agree. If we don't do it in 2024, like, I think it's probably gonna be pretty devastating in the end of the show.
But I think, you know, we could have a good message too, why we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're reorganizing, trying to regeneralize.
And that's all true. I mean,
And
we're not
that's-
trying to spin what's going on. I don't wanna lie to anyone.
We're not.
Yeah,
I think
So
we need,
this,
there's a message there to be had, I think, that not only for the vendors, but also for the community. Is this really what the community wants? And we take time to have those surveys and have community meetings this summer or something like that, have an event and just kind of get a commitment that here's the message, we've realigned our board now, we have new bylaws. We're not tied to the city with the council members being part of the board. So that issue goes away if that has been an issue. Maybe some people feel it has, but that would be a non-issue not anymore. So that's the message I think we need to get out, that we've restructured. And we're looking for community commitment. And because of our timeline of having to get contracts out in February and March, we just didn't feel like we were having the community support that we're looking for to really go forward. So we're asking the community, do we want to do this? And in 2025, we go through the motions, we have our board, we set up subcommittees, and we get a commitment. And maybe the commitment isn't there. If it is, I guess it's nothing lost.
and I feel like that also gives us some time to really invest how we move forward with some of these new ideas that we have.
Or recreate ourselves.
Yes,
You know, maybe it takes on a little bit different look and feel. And to Ryland's point, I mean, look at here, so Rochester sold. I mean, so that's something different. That's definitely
Who
something.
bought it? Does anybody know?
No.
Thompson sold?
No, Dick Townsend's family.
Townsend, yeah, I think it's for sale. Did it actually sell?
I don't know, I just heard it was for sale.
Oh, I
I
thought.
still hear
Oh,
Eric Townsend's shows.
Yeah, their show is scheduled for 2024, but they have been for sale on and off for the last couple of years, I think.
And I know, Jim, you talked about going to their event in May and just kind of walking around and seeing
Yeah,
things and
and,
kind of, just seeing what,
Yeah,
And
just to
you know
know your
what?
competition or what's
Yeah.
really going on and what's happening, and I was always,
Tried
you
that
know,
one year. tried that one year and the mayor wouldn't go along, so it's kind of left it at that.
But it was, taking a look and seeing what their cost is, okay, on the spot, on those type things. I think that how many do we have that are pre-registered to come again next year?
Same amount from last year. I mean, they're.
So, I mean, you're looking at
That's the
that,
general like expectation.
so I mean, it's taking a look and, I'm just afraid if the minute we stop a year, even if we say we're regrouping, it's gonna be gone. Because the vendors aren't gonna come back, you're not gonna have the food vendors that are gonna be
So-
looking at it, and the food vendors actually made out okay last year.
Let me, one question we need to really answer right now is, are we concerned about the money? Is
Yes,
the money an issue?
the money's an issue.
So if we had brought in less money next year, it'd be a problem.
No,
We brought
because
in
we're
less
not gonna,
money every
Every
single
year.
year for several
yeah,
years.
but we're not gonna be giving it out the same way we did with nonprofits if you don't have the people that are there.
Yeah, it's like last.
No, I understand that.
So money really isn't an issue. We have enough to cover all of our expenses.
Okay.
But see, that's the circle of it, like what Mel
Cut
said in
the
November
price by,
was,
cut the
we
price by
can't-
25%.
we're just doing it to keep ourselves being able to do it.
That's the price.
Cut the price by 25%.
You're not gonna get more people to come with the price being down 25%.
You're gonna get more vendors to show up.
No, you're not.
No, we're still.
Yeah.
Sorry, my chicken scratches.
Those updates are gone.
I know where it's at.
Yeah.
Rochester's at 75 a lot for
Oh, are
outside
they?
lots. They have
But
been
do
for
we
years.
just cut down what we donate?
Right. I mean,
Cause we're not a charity.
That might be in my
We're a
ear.
city,
Yes, we are.
but if.
We're a nonprofit.
But
Yeah,
you're
so
not.
it will be
profit.
cut from the city, but do we not, so we have to give it away, is that what you're
Well,
saying?
no, what I'm saying is it's gonna make us a little bit stronger what goes on next year if we don't have the amount of volunteers and we're gonna be giving the money away. So it'll be more in reserve for us to be able to build
Right.
further, okay? The other thing too is the people, the vendors have stuck with us during this construction. And it's been off for 2 years. We're gonna have the roads back this next year that there are. We're gonna have something, well,
Wider roads, this one here,
Right.
wider.
but it's gonna be, more of an introduction that people that are coming are gonna see a growth in the city too. We've got a different thing that's going on, and I think that's good to promote the city that way too.
I wonder if too, though, also, this is just pure speculation, just out of curiosity, because the Rochester show is for sale. If it doesn't sell and those guys or sell and those guys are burned out and they don't do it, or the people
Bring
that
them
buy it, do
back
something
over.
else, then maybe some of the, we can
Pull 'em back.
recruit
There you
some of
go.
those Rochester vendors into our show.
When we raised prices $75 to $100, that year we lost 30% of our vendors went to Rochester.
And Paul, we're
That's what-
talking
that
about,
year.
we're raising lot rent probably this year again anyway,
Who is we are?
but we need to.
You need to just to cover the expenses.
Very foolish. You don't need to cover the expenses. You give away 8,800, 8,600.
But we haven't raised the lot rent in what was the 11 years, I think it was.
Yeah.
And our expenses go
Probably since we
up
raised it to 100.
$3,000 to $5,000 every year. and We're not raising our
Is
prices.
there a way we can call and see what it costs for a space rental for that?
There's phone number. $75.
Vendor Jim.
You got an extra one?
You can take that.
Or take a picture of it.
So I want to throw this out, another, just to talk about this, refresh, recreate, emphasize effort, because every house downtown is gonna be torn up. From the standpoint, everybody has to connect to the sewer. And that's gonna be
Oh,
happening
yeah.
throughout downtown because of the sewer. Water's done, but there are some people that pick up, but everybody around the community center is gonna be putting in their sewer system.
And we don't have any control over the timeline that those residents schedule that.
We
I
have
mean, you
that,
might have
right
these
now,
two
the
doing
ordinance
it
is
this
for
week,
12
and
months.
these two doing it next week, and 8 people doing it the next day, like.
no, that's
And-
what I'm saying,
But those
it could
that
be
are
a real
involved in
mess.
Gold Rush should make sure it's not happening in August.
Well, I'm
Well,
okay talking to the contractor, and they honored that, because that was in the contract.
Yeah.
What's
But
that?
as
for
homeowners
the
and stuff,
roads,
I-
for the roads,
yeah,
but not for hookups. They agreed to not work on the roads during Gold Rush. But
Yeah.
we're not gonna be able to control and tell
Personal-
residents when they can and
personal
cannot be
yeah.
hooking
Well,
up.
there's nobody that down in here that rents their yard out. It's going out there, and got your yard torn up for Gold Rush.
You don't, you don't know, because I'll tell you, up on West Center,
West Center
well,
is.
Dave and Lorna,
West
their
Center is in
yard
the
is
middle
still
of Gold
torn up.
Rush.
There's some that just got their yards.
Yeah, but West Center isn't the middle of Gold Rush.
No, I know, I'm just saying as, to look at the timeline, yards were torn up for months, months and months.
Well, we don't have a lot of residents that are close by around
The
here.
ones
for
that
the
are
road.
torn up now have the grinder systems. Put back and up, come back in the spring and do that because they can't hook up until the treatment plant is working and the treatment has to be, lift stations all have to be working before they can hook up the grinder stations. So we know that's gonna be done in that March, April, May, June timeframe. So
That's just a
Same with the
whole
grinder
nother,
stations down
that's
here
just a
too.
whole nother issue, Ryland.
But that's my concern is that residents downtown are gonna be doing that and they pile gold rush and activities. I'm just trying to think of the message that we're still in a construction mode for residents. Yes, the streets are done, the main lines are in done, but every home is gonna be working on, they have a 12-month time frame right now per the ordinance to hook up to the sewer.
Well, this was actually the first year of construction according to Gold Rush.
No,
Well, we moved them the
Last
first
2
year
years.
and never tore anything up.
Well,
some.
We moved the vendors the first year and never
Yep.
tore. up.
and we had to do, and
The only-
to our,
The only stuff that was tore up was this
We had-
last
right.
year.
Yeah,
but to our,
we have to plan that super
our
early.
foresight, we had to apply for our festival insurance. So we kind of had to know what our layout was gonna be and what we were doing. And we did have the forethought to rearrange and do some things different a year early so that people would get an idea of what the show is gonna look like for the next summer or possibly 2 summers, which was communicated to them.
And they liked it.
And they liked it. So we were savvy and we had, so kudos to us, we had the forethought to deal with the situation in advance. And I just think that we have the opportunity to do something similar now that.
Then it begs the question, are we gonna really make the residents downtown mad if their yard's already tore up and then we impose Gold Rush on them? I'm just throwing
Well,
it
they
out
know,
there.
they know Gold
Not
Rush is
hardship,
coming.
but they'll-
Yeah,
They know Gold Rush is coming.
Right.
Yeah,
it has
yeah.
Because some of the lines where the curb
52
stop, where
years
they
they've
have
been
the
there
sewer
now.
line could be going right through the driveways where they park cars.
Yeah.
But they got the contractor coming July 15th.
And is that a safety issue with our insurance for the show also? For walking or where we put food
What's the
trucks?
what's the safety issue?
Well, I mean, if ditches and yards are dug up and there's big holes all over the place and we got 10,000 people coming to walk around in town.
Now.
Well, the insurance is based on more of the streets.
Let me finish that second round. You're talking about being an issue of the city. That's not a city issue. That's a contractor issue. They're responsible to make sure people got their holes are marked and stuff is level for people to walk on. So some of that insurance is gonna they're gonna bear the brunt of that insurance.
When if it's on city residents' property, that's not the right of way. And all of our vendors are on the right of way, not on, private homeowner's yard.
I'm not talking about it being the private home.
Right.
I'm talking about being the contractor. If the contractor's gonna tear up from the city line into the
Which many
resident.
of which could be in the right of way. which we
Yeah, the
use.
contractor
So
to
we
make sure
sell
that-
lots that all of a sudden are torn up and then we're freaking
We just have to
go
look.
around or it's a disaster.
And we just move them.
mud.
So if we take a reprieve, we come back
We
in
got streets, so
2025,
now we don't have to worry about the mud, so.
it's just a much better
I,
environment to be in, so.
There aren't that many yards on Minnesota Avenue.
How many homes are we talking about?
Well, how many homes are on
You're saying-
Minnesota Avenue?
You're saying this
'Cause
side
that's where-
Minnesota Avenue this
But we
way.
could open that back up by the post office that we didn't do last year.
Every
That's
red dot
okay.
up there gets a sewer system.
Jim, there's no homes behind the post office.
No, I'm saying, we have that where we didn't use it last year, we could use it this year.
and the pines, we talked about adding the pines back in, which is another thing that we can do.
That's gonna be a mud.
Yep.
That's a mud hole now. It's gonna stay a mud hole.
So this,
Or even the
It's
church
far-
parking
look at-
lot,
down for everything, these go,
Graceland
so here's-
Church parking lot.
here's the one way right now. So all these homes, flying down here, all
Three.
these homes
There's 3 on there.
up to here, everybody's getting service from the curb stop into their house.
And also remember, Ryland,
So
something
you're
just,
not gonna have people using those, it's only, I'm just looking at Minnesota Avenue as the main one that we're gonna have
Yeah,
the
right now.
show on, so it would be,
But just remember, guys, once he just started talking about the one-way, per our festival insurance, that whole back, that's our emergency exit route. That emergency exit route goes from the city garage up past City Hall here, up over, up to top of B and out at VFW.
Why don't we change that emergency exit route to go from the city shop out across the bridge in 52 and up past Casey's?
We've never really marked the emergency route, but it's kind of known, I guess.
It's kind of silly to
Well,
bring. it
it's
back
in our,
down.
it's in our map, our festival map, on our insurance
One
map,
way.
the one way, and then the emergency route, like, it says emergency route
Okay, boy, I just,
on the insurance map.
oh, the map that we submitted.
Yes. And which definitely can be changed.
Sure.
But, the one way doesn't go the way you're talking about for the fire department to get out and then go that way.
Yeah, 'cause we've had
The one way would have to be reversed. From where, how we do it
Yeah,
now.
we left to-
We'd have to reverse it so that the one way would be going the other direction.
Streets are done.
That's not a one-way from the city shop.
So if it's-
During Gold Rush, it's all one way.
Yeah, during Gold Rush.
It's all one
That's
way.
a one-way coming in.
Yeah,
Off the back.
yeah, it comes off of 5 and then goes around.
As soon as you get off
And
of
the other side
5,
is,
off
yeah,
of Fifth,
nothing comes down Minnesota
it's one
Avenue,
way.
so it all goes one way.
But if we, he's right, if we reversed the one way and went the other way, and made the one way the other way, that could work.
You can see the first year we did.
I don't understand why we did it.
He was saying if we change the emergency route to come down from the fire department to city garage and be the emergency route out over the bypass by the auction house
Versus going.
versus going up to VFW and going out the south side. So I was just thinking that could work if the one way was reversed, but
We're just talking about
We
if the
talked
one,
now.
if the one ways are, inhibited by any type of construction.
But there is no construction on the streets. The streets are
No,
done.
it's all gonna be
Right.
done.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes, street construction's done.
You know, I would, if it's my thought, and I know we gotta figure out how to do the volunteers. I know that's a big part of it, so don't get me wrong. Looking at the rest, if we're thinking about possibly stopping it, I think that we should make it this year and try to make it work this year. And make a decision after that. Just to see what's really there. And maybe I'm wrong. That's just, you know, I just, the minute we toss in the towel, you're not gonna get it back again.
Well,
I want
I
that,
think we'll
Jim.
get it back. It may not be as big, but at the same time, I think
Well,
we have,
maybe I'm
because we've
wrong.
got 52 years of tradition. And they were told about last year with this potential 2 years, because last year was the streets are done now. But all these residents have to go from the curb stop into their property.
Mm.
And if the majority of them are doing this summer, and it all depends on the contractors, but. seems
And
like
that's
then we
not
put the
honestly-
penalty on the residents, whereas last year, the contractor stopped construction, everything was okay, you get the good partners. But I think there's some risk of not being able to do that because of them having to be committed to hook to the sewer system.
And that certainly isn't our only
That's the risk we
problem, our
take.
only excuse.
Citizens have to come first, the sewer hookups have to come first. And if Gold Rush is there in 25, great, if it's some less, we can have D-Lot, we do more community effort or whatever, that it may should reshape, take a different form, but. In the meantime, we tell the community our story, where we're at, why we're doing, and recommit. Or whatever it takes, community events or survey monkeys, or just trying to get some enthusiasm to say. If the community really wants it, if the community says no, then maybe 2024 never happened, or 2025 will never happen, I should say.
Well, maybe one thing you could consider, Rylan, is we do it this year. We add that survey that we're actually talking about to talk to the residents, to the WSB community projects. And see, to get them to survey the city, be part of the ordinance thing that we're working on. This is all done by ordinance anyway, so it's kind of like, should we involve that WSB?
You do that, and you can also
Open
run
houses.
the CETA too for
Well,
that
we
same
are-
thing. so.
The EDA is doing a community engagement survey.
We're doing what?
We're doing a community engagement.
End of
We're gonna be
February,
sending a survey out asking.
When are they doing that?
end of February.
February 24th is when we're having the event. The survey is gonna go out to 606 homes.
Regardless of whatever we decide
Next couple
tonight or whenever, but maybe putting maybe going to EDA and asking them if we can put a Gold Rush question on the community. The EDA community survey is not a bad idea. Can they add
Well-
something about Gold Rush? Do you attend Gold Rush? Do you plan to attend Gold Rush? Would you like Orinoco to continue to do Gold
So-
Rush? Check here.
I got a copy of the final survey today. It talks about Orinoco, all the different community activities, but I could talk to Rebecca to see if we could reword maybe one or two of them about Gold Rush and commitment to Gold Rush and the benefit of it. Do they see the benefit of it?
That would be, that would
That's a good
be,
idea.
I think
like
we
that.
should get, even if it's just one question.
And maybe another question is, would you be willing to volunteer
Yeah, in order to allow
to
Gold Rush
make,
to continue.
allow this to continue?
We
Or,
have to let them know that if we don't have involvement, it can't continue.
but I think even it goes beyond that, it goes beyond even Gold Rush. Because if we have to do other events to get money, or maybe there's events that we can do that don't require as much
Well,
overhead in terms of people.
Maybe the question should just be worded as, what do you consider fair involvement by everybody in the community to continue Gold Rush working, something similar to that?
Or, would you like would you like Gold Rush to stay in Orinoco, or would you like to see a different kind of community event in Orinoco? Just something very simple like that. Very, very simple. And just see where, because I think that's where the issue is.
Yep.
I think there's some people that come and they want it to stay, and obviously there's some people who are like, I'm never gonna go to that. I wish there was something in Orinoco I could go to or that I wanna go to.
I mean, you see like at Mail Civic, the craft shows that they just had a
Yeah.
month or so ago, was huge. You couldn't hardly walk through it.
You know,
You know,
But that's
and
always been a-
Wisconsin Dells does something like that in their city.
and Joanne will tell you this too, but like the antique vendors, they don't like that.
I know.
They don't like it. They don't want that to
Except for over
become,
there.
Well, and that's what they said. People want more crafts.
but see, that's
And
what the
repurpose.
people want, like, and we're talking about how do you get people, how do you make more money? The dealers, some of them will be like, if you're gonna be a craft show, we're not coming, and then we're just gonna lose more people, because they seriously hate
They're all
that.
their time.
And
clientele.
then for every antique dealer that leaves, we get like 2 craft dealers in.
Requesting
Yeah,
space.
that
Right.
works.
And so then are we just a craft show? Or is that what we had intended, but we accidentally turned into? Or is there something else we could be
Well, maybe
doing that's
call it-
way more profitable, that takes up a lot less time
Okay.
for Orinoco, for us? I think we just have to,
Good idea.
I agree with you, Ryland. I think we have to, I honestly, my vote is that we take some time to reassess, refresh, build up our army per se. And add those other profit-making opportunities that we discussed.
Yeah, and then.
And maybe it's downtown Orinoco Gold Rush and Craft Show or something, because
It's Gold Rush and flea
people
market.
come to craft shows.
I think
Antique
that-
and Flea market.
That's what it is now.
Yeah,
It's antique and flea market.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is now.
Antique flea and craft show.
Yeah. Well, and we also talked about adding like an artisan market area,
Yeah.
where we do like the breads and the honeys and the syrup people and all that kind of stuff, and make an actual section that's, there were all sorts of
Like a
ideas that were thrown out. Yes, like a farmer's market.
Mhm.
There were all sorts of things thrown out.
And is there?
And
an
they're all great
opportunity to
ideas.
Show
I
off
think we
our
ought to be-
community as it grows too.
I think we want to be
That might
careful,
be a-
because we start talking some of that, you're gonna talk about people that are gonna come here and buy a loaf, or take it home. You don't want them coming here and buying food from a vendor where you get all these food vendors that they're relying on that for their.
Agreed.
income.
And there's things to be conversed on, all of it. That's why it's just, it's so frustrating.
And the other thing I will say, I heard a lot of positive comments about what the firemen did in terms, if you think about raising money for the city, the
And
food
VFW
trucks.
too.
Yeah, exactly. The food trucks were a cool deal.
But is there something that we can be doing in Orinoco that includes the fire department, the Lions and the VFW? That raises more funds that that hosts our own
Fills the gap.
residents? That is our own, if it is a street dance or it's a pig roast or it's I don't know what that looks like. Fire is open to it. Fire's
Mhm.
open to discussion. Fire
Yeah,
is
yeah.
all about, yes, let's try something new.
Yeah, because yeah, they've got a community involvement
Yeah,
initiative for this
and
year,
they
and so
have
they're-
they got a bunch of good organizational people over there right now too. We could definitely figure out something to do this summer,
Mhm.
whether our board members are involved with helping or volunteering over there. I think if we don't do Gold Rush, there's probably some funds that we could throw at that if we wanted to, or we just keep it in hopes that we're gonna do 2025. I don't know.
'Cause I think it comes down to it. We can't afford to really be so generous right now. And maybe we cut that back for a while and then wait till our coffers get a little.
But I
bit
feel like
fuller.
that's the whole point of Gold Rush. The whole point of Gold Rush is to give back to the community.
Right, that's always been.
And we are really struggling to do that. And that's literally our mission statement.
Yeah, 3
It's
years ago,
literally our
when we
mission statement
started
is what
holding
it's
back
for.
some funds so that we can operate.
Right.
That was the first time we did it. And so, because before we were really scraping by, or, the board members were covering a lot of the expenses before the show and to get reimbursed. So it's the same thing with, are we keeping our heads above water type of thing, just for our own committee to function? And we do want to be able to give back to the community.
So another thought, about the street dance idea, bringing in money is for Gold Rush, let's take Sunday away. Let's not have the show included on the Sunday, and then you could do your street dance Saturday night, for everybody and, yeah.
There was you always hear the rumblings of the vendors talking to each other all weekend. And I did hear a bunch of discussion in D&E this past summer, about, what would you think about, I heard people talking about shortening the show or whatever. And the one response that I kept hearing over and over, yeah, but if you take Sunday away, then Saturday just becomes Sunday.
Which is kind of what's happening already, because
Yeah.
Thursday has been.
Sunday mornings have not been.
Thursday's starting to be Friday.
And Thursday is already Friday.
Because we already moved up the move-in date, that's Thursday now at 11 o'clock. So everybody comes and shops, and that's one of the best shopping days, and for the vendors too, and then Friday is another big day. Yeah, and then Saturday is the Sunday, and Sunday everybody's gone.
So it used to be years ago, when it come for setup, nobody set up anything on Thursday, and at midnight, everybody turned their heads
Yeah.
and whatever happened.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem was, they'd go sit on city lots, and they'd be 2 spaces off. And you gotta go move this vendor down,
Yeah.
and move 3 vendors down, because the one that wants his end, wants his end.
Yeah. Oh, I cannot even imagine the nightmare of that.
We weren't here, nobody was out here at midnight.
Where they're setting
That-
up
that-
in the night with their
Exactly.
hammer.
And some of that, and they're even asking for more time. I mean, they're even asking to get in earlier than 11. And some of that has to do with their age and their physical capacity to deal with setting their stuff up.
I
That's,
think, I can't agree with you on that. It has nothing to do with their age. It has to do with, I want my stuff out there first. That's what every one of them is about. Every one of them.
I won't argue
That's-
that.
And what we did this year with the yellow and green card, I think really took that issue away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that helped a lot.
They
People
loved
come in
it.
the center first, 30 minutes later, they outlined.
Yep, They all understood it.
I didn't
think
hear
had-
one vendor.
I think I
complain
had
about
one or two that complained. They called ahead, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
that. That worked out really good.
Yeah, it did. Yep,
Because then they're not.
they understood it and did it, so.
And do we know how many didn't show up this year? I know up by the VFW, there was a lot of them open.
There was a lot of open spots that we didn't rent out.
There were 3 or 4 triples or quads in D&E that didn't show up. There was some big old holes down there.
Yeah, and
I had Fisher run benches down there and make like seating areas like
Like
we
we
did it
purposely-
intentionally.
couple of them just left early,
Yeah.
real early.
Yep. If I'm not told about it, then I don't know. you know, and their contract says, you know, if they leave early, then they don't get.
And that's
fined.
tough for the vendors around them, cause they're like, well, you
Yeah,
know, like,
'cause I
we're
think-
told we have to stay, why do they get to leave? You know,
Yep.
After Friday.
After Friday.
I think it was after Friday, or maybe it was in
Yeah.
later
Because if they-
Saturday.
Their sale days are Friday or Thursday and Friday, so
Exactly.
that's leave Saturday.
So I
Which they
back up
do.
on Saturday and leave.
They do.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
so shortening up the weekend, I mean, is something totally that we can discuss too.
Then that would save on the sheriff's hours, you know, we wouldn't need them here Sunday.
It would save on, well, the garbage is covered,
that's
but I
right.
mean, it would save on that. It would save on volunteers too.
But we
that-
always pay through Monday because nobody picks up on
No,
Sunday.
I'm just looking at
Community
everything.
service or.
No, I mean like the garbage cans and the satellites and stuff.
I'm not-
We pay through the whole day on Sunday and they come and get them. We pay for that whole day. So even if they, cause they don't, if we only have the show through Saturday,
Oh, yeah.
they're gonna make us pay for Sunday because they don't pick up on
Yes,
Sunday.
Sunday would
Sunday's a
be-
non-working day. So I mean, our expenses, we will still have to pay for Sunday, even if we don't have the show on Sunday. The satellites will still be here, the dumpsters will still be here, the golf carts will still be here. So there's that.
Well. If it still gets back to in my mind, it still gets back to the volunteers and finding the commitment to make it happen.
Let's,
And the residents and their sewer hookups.
how many of the volunteers have to come on Thursday?
The boys' sports teams and the girls, if they want to, come and do all the
They're not in
portering.
school at that time.
I
Yeah,
understand
they
that.
do all the like portering, and helping people unload and everything, and then they help put up all the signage,
Yeah,
all of the sandwich boards, and all of that
Depends on-
kind of stuff.
yeah, and it's usually, well, it depends on if scheduled pickup dates.
Usually they're here from like 11 to 3 or 4,
Yeah,
usually, and there's, at any given time, there's usually 15 of them, 15 to 20 of them. And we have vendors sitting, waiting for them to finish up their job and then get to them. So,
no, it's hard if we don't have a liaison at the schools, it's gonna be hard for us to advertise to get the teams. Also because the school's not, you know, we're an outside entity, we're not in part of the district, so, yeah, that's gonna be harder to get some of those team participation.
but again, if we took the time where I can find the new contacts, or I'd come up with another idea, or reach out to other sports teams we haven't worked with before.
We could,
But I mean, again, takes time to make a relationship and figure it
And
out.
Mike from the Lions, his boys are in the Pine Island Wrestling.
Yep.
So I mean, that's a contact
I know the
there.
booster club
Yeah,
contacts that Century, you know, the booster club people, but
yeah.
Who are the boys?
I don't know.
And Lori's still in charge of the booster for winter games.
Junior high.
Oh, yeah.
And then
So, I mean, that's a separate issue.
Yeah, that'll be for the next 2 years.
Yeah,
So
so.
then her girls will age, then she'll age out of high school.
They can't produce a few more Owens out of there.
He still comes.
Yeah, exactly.
So whatever you guys decide, as far as time wise, you know, 2 years ago, the contract did not get mailed to like April 15th.
Oh, because we decided late because it was COVID.
Oh, yeah.
We weren't sure, like, should we do it or should we not?
I
We
know,
bit the
but
bullet
yeah,
and did it.
was late.
And it was great though.
Yeah, and it worked. I mean, I was able to, yeah, do whatever I needed to after.
That for 21?
Yeah, after the April 15th, you know, getting the contracts out. So if you guys do the survey thing or whatever else, special meeting, you know, just so I would know, say like by mid-March.
Because there's still, I mean, you still kind of have a good bit of legwork to do to finish moving lots or figure out if we're gonna use the pines or not, or eliminate B or K. I mean, like,
Right,
there's-
talked this morning and basically what we talked about was just moving the vendors that are up in K, the VFW, just moving them down to moving them basically.
and not B.
A and B and not.
Indeed, leaving.
B and K.
We were gonna leave B alone, because the vendors up there, they liked it up there.
Yeah, and they were pretty active, and they put flowers out,
A
and
is a pain.
had enough, you know,
Yeah.
space to move that stuff around. They
But yeah,
liked it
so
up
anyway,
there,
so
right.
it's just moving the ones from paying, which is not
And
that
Paul had
many.
an interesting point. I mean, we're all like, let's give the people back the pines, but I mean, it's,
We're not gonna go across on that side though.
Yeah, 'cause yeah, if you have,
All of them-
if you have the bulk of the show
all of them
here and one,
phones are gone.
you know, just a few people, it's not gonna be conducive to those people.
and the
that are
mud, I mean, it's not gonna be
Hidden
this
over there.
nice grassy shady area. It's all gonna be mud and.
It's gonna be a
Pretty
muddy.
grass, but like,
Grassy.
it's just we don't have enough to fill, I don't think we have enough vendors to
Right.
fill it like we want it to be filled. It's
Right.
gonna be a lot of gaps. And then we're back to, well, it's too spread out.
And so
Yeah.
again, if we wait another year to plan and rebuild the army and do the things, I mean, then are we in a position where we can get back over there or not, or figure out what that looks like?
But if we did that, if we waited a year, how would we get the vendors? I mean, would we have to reach out to all the previous vendors to say, hey, do you wanna come back?
Does everybody here understand?
Yeah, we've got the list, so it's,
Right, but
You get a
they
lot of
wouldn't
phone
be,
calls.
they wouldn't be getting contracts this year. So then, for next year, what, I just have to hold those spots to guarantee that.
I
maybe
think, yeah,
they're
you
gonna
would
come
leave it
back.
exactly the way that it is. And if we go through with 2025, the spot they had before, they can still get. I think we don't touch it at all. It's frozen like we
Frozen,
did with
yeah.
COVID. Just freeze.
Well, the thing is, you got away with it in 21 because those vendors couldn't go anywhere for COVID.
Right.
In 25, they're gonna be able to go where they please.
Well, and there were a lot of people that didn't come anyway. We decided to have the show and they're like, we can't believe you're having the show. Ooh, COVID. So our numbers were down that year. And we had the show and it was fine. We did make a profit, but there were still a lot of people, vendors that didn't come.
A lot of people need to what we need to understand here is all of the antique vendors, they run on a circuit.
Yeah.
They have their loop of
Yeah.
where they need to be each week of the year. And Gold Rush Falls is an extra week in the year. That's why they come here. And if you want them to find something different to do, I'm sure they'll find something different to do. Are they coming back?
No, I don't think you're getting back.
Right.
Don't bank on it.
And I also think that in all fairness to them and to their bottom line, the earlier we let them know, the better, so that they can make arrangements to fill in that gap financially or whatever that is that they need to do. I wanna be fair, but I also wanna be doing the right thing. Why are we here? What are we doing?
Okay, so, let's, to move forward on our list, in what order are our concerns? Dirty lots that aren't cleaned up, vendors not showing up, lack of money, or what's the deal? What are our
I think
concerns?
it's this, the combination of all of the things are not coming together. I think it's a combination of all of those things.
So you have a suggestion?
Yeah, so what are we gonna do for next month?
I definitely think we can do a survey monkey. I definitely think
I
that that's
think that
reasonable.
should be done.
Yes.
Do the
Or
survey
Google
monkey.
Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. And that can definitely be on citizens page.
That's easy to put together.
The thing I worry about with doing that is we do that in advance of sending out contracts. So word gets out that we're talking about maybe Gold Rush not happening and vendors start finding out and they're like, oh my God, and your phone starts ringing off the hook, or people start creating their own narrative and saying stuff that's not true. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
So
Grapevine,
I am
yeah.
a little worrisome about just,
video right now.
yeah, and we have several local vendors and some of them might be on, part of our citizens page that are gonna see it. And
Yeah,
so
we
I do have a little concern about that, but it is what it is. It's truthful, it's honest, and it's fair, and I think it's plenty early. But
So-
there is that.
Yeah.
And,
So the survey that we're finalized this today, but it's gonna be mailed out probably tomorrow or maybe Monday, the next is, I'll talk to Rebecca
For EDA, you mean?
for the EDA to see if we can add. And it's not, what we're asking for is not a negative thing about Gold Rush, it's just in general. Do you like Gold Rush? Do you benefit from it? Is there something,
you wanna
do
see.
you like Gold Rush to
continue.
stay or something to the fact that we wanna looking at alternatives, but here's, give us some feedback.
Mhm.
So we'll
Yes.
have those results by February 24th.
And I can definitely get a survey out there, you know,
Yeah, it'll take
very soon.
It'll take,
Yeah, it takes
takes
like
me like 10
5
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna
to
say,
create it, throw it out
create it.
there.
yeah, I get a
And,
link.
just let her rip and
Mhm.
see what comes of that by the next meeting. We can certainly do that.
So our February meeting is February 1st. Our March meeting is March 7th. So if that was to be our two determinations, if we're gonna move with on 24 or wait till 25, we got a couple meetings and still allow contracts to still go out on the 15th or the third week in March.
So a last ditch effort to see what we can do, come up with and or recruit or get idea or whatever in the next 30 days and then be ready to
Commitment.
vote on February 1st. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not sure we'll have an answer February 1st.
I think it's gonna be March, yeah.
I think we'll have more information
More
February,
March 7th.
but then it'll be March that we'll
Drop.
have. Yeah.
If that happens, are you like about contracts, not being able to do contracts until after March 7th?
Like saying, you know, 2
It
years
is what it
ago.
is.
yeah,
So instead of
people were
contracts, it
calling,
would just be a letter of information or a letter of notice to them that we're, you know, if, let's pretend that we're
I don't
not.
think we're addressing the vendors at all.
Oh, okay, it's just they
Until-
don't get it.
Until we get feedback
No, no,
from
no, no,
the
I mean, like,
community.
at the
No.
end, instead of sending out the contract, like we've made our
Oh.
decision, let's pretend we made our decision. And we're just gonna, you know,
Yes.
furlough for 1 year. Are you
I-
gonna then give a notice stating?
Carol did that in 2020.
Yes,
And
so
I
that's what I'm
have-
saying, is that it just replaces a notice or a letter of information. will
And I
replace
have
the
that
contract.
letter drafted that we were gonna send out with the postcards about bring a friend or whatever,
That's what
Which
the letter was saying. We were asking about.
can
that.
be reworded and kind of restructured to, you know, we regret to inform you that, you know, do all the things, refreshing, building, recruiting, doing all the things, blah, blah, blah. Cause we can't send out those postcards now because they have the 2024 dates on them,
Yeah.
and that's not gonna happen.
But we also, you know, we lost Kristen, who did a lot of our advertising. We
Right.
lost our major advertiser too in our board, so there's a lot of
Yes, our
stuff.
hard print advertiser, all of our advertising. I picked up the website, which, okay, fine, I'll mess with it, but I mean, that's just another thing I'm doing now.
I gotta see if I can get in there.
I know,
Doing the advertising stuff.
I took on the website, I mean,
Look at the
and the
website.
and I'm doing some Facebook stuff, or will do some Facebook stuff. And the last
Yeah,
time
we
I did
lost that
Facebook
too,
stuff
yeah.
was Halloween, was I think my last post.
Yeah.
It's so much, you guys, like, we lost Kristen and we lost Dana, which those guys did a tremendous amount of work
Ton of
for
work.
Gold Rush. And those are just things that everybody has to understand if we're like, we want to vote yes to try to do this show, like, you're voting yes to much more than average amount of work that would need to be done, because we got gaps to fill, and I have no one to fill them with. And even being in township, I have talked to my neighbors, I have reached out and, you know, like, I'm reaching. And I'm just not finding any interest to be on board or to not even be on board. I've even suggested, what if we had a subcommittee? Would you if you don't want to be on the board, would you be on a subcommittee? You know, and I'm sort of just getting, let me think about it.
So let's work with these two dates. So you're gonna do a survey, Lucky,
I can-
Yeah.
and what is your main 2 or 3 questions, would you say?
I wanna say what we're going to probably say in the EDA question. I really want them to be very similar.
Yeah,
It's just
so
because if
that's
you're
not
gonna
what you're-
compare answers, it's
So
kind of
one
apples
thing-
and oranges.
Just,
You and I can come up with the proper wording for the question.
Should I
I'd
go
like it
with
to
the
be very
state?
similar.
have some other community event this summer or something.
And on Facebook, I mean, even if you create a survey, you can still comment on a survey, right? Or can you only answer the survey?
No, you can, so on the Google survey, you can make it be you can decide what you want. If
Okay.
it's a short answer or a long answer, if what's required, what's not required. I can build it really super quick if you want me to.
That would be great.
Because, and then all the answers automatically go into a beautiful.
But I think it should be the
spreadsheet.
kind where
It's like-
people, I mean, if we wanted, we just have, I don't
It's
know
gonna
if it
be
can be
easy.
yes or
Like a
no.
box.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. And so there's some things where you can have a poll, you know, like there's different things you can
Yeah.
do in that Google form.
I want to have a poll, but I also want people to be able to comment on the thread. So if they click yes or no, but they are like, yeah, but this, or, oh, I didn't know you guys were suffering, I would volunteer, that there's still a space in that.
Yeah,
Threads.
a comment for each question.
Or not even in the
Or just
question, just
a
have the
final
survey
comment.
up above where you click the box. And if they
You
click
can
the box,
do a
but they still
poll.
want to say something, they can
Yeah.
click
You
comment.
You can do it,
just
yeah,
to
you can
add
do a
public
Facebook
comment.
poll where they can add spots. You allow them to add spots or not add spots.
Yeah.
Or, which that's good and bad. And
Allow who to add spots?
like say, I decide like there's a yes or no, or, like you
You get
say,
somebody-
a
you get-
different community event, who would want that? You know, like someone could add a bullet point on the poll, or you have, and then most of those polls you can add, make sure there's a comment.
I
But
think
that's
we
just
should
a
control the
Facebook poll.
questions. I just want to have a
That's just a
comment section.
Facebook poll. The Google form, you can have, yeah, you can have.
We just want
a
one
comment section.
comment section at the end of the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just so if you want to just click the box, you can and be done.
Yeah.
But if you click the box and you're someone who's interested or you're concerned or you want to know more,
Or you just have a comment.
or you just have a comment,
Comment,
even if
idea,
it's trashy.
suggestion.
I want to know what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
want to know what they're saying, what
You
are,
could do, yeah, there's so much
What are
you
you
can do with the
saying?
Google forms that, you
Feedback.
yeah.
Mhm.
but let's try to keep it very, let's try to keep the wording with the EDA question
Okay, so
and
we
the
got
survey
right
really
now.
similar.
Talk tomorrow morning.
Okay,
Okay, so let,
We're stuffing envelopes tomorrow morning.
awesome.
with the survey.
Okay, well, what do you have written down?
can we
So I
just
just
pop
said-
it, can we pop an extra
I have
page?
two things. Would you consider volunteering for the Gold Rush event weekend? And the second one is, would you like Gold Rush to stay? Again,
I don't like that wording.
No.
Would you like Gold Rush?
How do you think,
Grow or,
maybe the question.
Board
worded
and-
rather than this, how do you think Gold Rush
Maybe we just need to talk about volunteering for.
helps the community?
Yeah, just volunteer for Gold Rush, don't put, because we need people for the board too.
How does Gold Rush benefit the community? How do you think Gold Rush or?
How do you,
Do you, no, how about, do you,
survey you
do
get.
you think Gold Rush
Certain simple, the ways people-
benefits the community,
yes,
and how?
yes. And then the second question would be,
You know. The other thing too about, if they're not interested in volunteering, comment, why not? You
Yeah.
know,
would you be interested in volunteering at Gold Rush? Why or why not? Or something like that.
Why?
Why and why
And why?
and why?
Yeah, we need to have non-yes or.
But one needs to be like actually a question about the show, and then one separate question needs to be about being involved with it.
Yeah,
I think so.
I agree.
We asked
Leave
about
it at two
volunteering.
questions.
Yep,
Yeah, you
but
gotta be
super
simple,
simple,
easy,
not
yeah.
to be like technical or weird about it.
Asking about a Gold Rush subcommittee for volunteering.
I think it should, would you
I think
consider
it's the same thing.
volunteering for
I
Gold
think a
Rush?
subcommittee is a volunteer.
Yeah, I
I
just
just
think
think
having.
involved. Would you ever consider being involved with Gold Rush or volunteer?
Yeah, just volunteering. We don't
Volunteering,
need to
yeah.
qualify it
Yeah.
to which parts volunteering, just would you consider volunteering?
A subcommittee would be a volunteer, right? Because you're not on the board.
Or volunteering this year, whatever.
Okay, can you read back to me what we're saying?
Yeah, let me- I have another question. I wanna ask.
With your questions there, your survey, we're not gonna know, like if somebody says, yes, I volunteer, we're not gonna know who said yes, somebody
I
can reach
can
out.
ask,
to them.
I can ask for a name, I can ask for an email address.
Volunteers, so we need to contact.
We have a choice where
people.
we can ask for an email address, or we can ask for a name, we can make it required or not. It just depends on what you guys want to do. It's best to get that, but we need to say, would you consider volunteering? I think we need to say this year. It's not just an open-ended, yeah, eventually sometime in my lifetime.
That's not a lie.
Well, you might just add right at the end, it says contact,
Yeah,
if yes, contact.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
have that, so.
Simple enough to.
Yeah, you guys can put your link in there.
mhm.
Um,
And then did we want to say, do you think Gold Rush should continue, or what other event would you like to see the city put on? Or is that what we were talking about?
Reread the first question so I can see how far that's gonna take people down the rabbit hole.
Well, I just have, would you consider volunteering for Gold Rush and why? If yes, contact. Do you think Gold Rush benefits the community and how? Do you think Gold Rush should continue? If not, and if
I think
not,
that question, do you think
what-
Gold Rush benefits the community? Or would you like to see a different kind of community
you.
event? I think that should all be one question.
thank you. I couldn't figure out where it was gonna be.
Yes, event, something, yes, yeah. I think that all needs to be one thing.
Or do you think,
Or would you like to see a different kind of event? No, event is a way better word.
so would you consider volunteering at Gold Rush, or do you think a different kind of event would be?
Oh, wrong question.
Oh. I thought you added it to my.
Yeah,
volunteer.
but to the first question.
Oh,
Do you think Gold Rush benefits Orinoco, or would you like to see another type of?
I put it in the
event?
wrong question,
Yeah,
yes.
that's why I'm like, you said the right thing, you just put it on the wrong question, on the back of the wrong question.
I did. Okay, hold on, I'm getting there. Yes, I got it to the right question.
Sweet.
All right, so that.
Do you want, can Christine just text you sort of that verbiage?
I can send you the link.
Yeah, no.
Like when I go home, I can build it real quick and then I can send you guys
Yeah.
the
Then
link
it
to
will be
look at it
real,
and see if you
real-
like it and then.
Real similar, we can, then it will be easy to compare the
Yeah,
two different kinds of answers.
and then we can have an email when they submit can go back and say, thank you very much, you know, for more information about Gold Rush, here's the volunteer information, here's Joanne's information. We can
Yes,
have that
auto
go back.
reply.
So
Auto
are
reply,
so are
yeah.
we gonna have, are we gonna, in order to evaluate the information we're gonna get, we're gonna need a beginning date and an end date.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And what do we figure, 3-week period maybe, or?
Well, that's why I was saying by that February 1st meeting, I think the data we collect from.
From your, so you're doing the survey, Mikey, I'm doing this engagement for the same question. So it's going.
What's the timeline, what's the timeline on the EDA engagement letter? for
24th
reply?
of
It's
February.
going out this weekend or maybe Monday at the latest.
But what's your cutoff for replies on that letter?
I don't know, but our EDA public meeting, information meeting is gonna be on the February 24th, which is our normal EDA Friday night meeting or monthly meeting.
So we can get started with what happens with Survey
But what
Monkey
can-
and we can continue the conversation on March 7th.
And I'm not sure,
Might have
Maybe they-
information back
I'm not sure how
in
the
a month.
responses are coming back. I can't answer that.
yeah, but maybe they can get their responses before.
They will
February.
probably, they will likely have some,
Yeah.
yeah, and we.
and we'll
can-
have some.
And we could put it not only on the citizens page,
Well,
we
it's
can
gonna be
send it to all the
mailed out, so
HOAs,
it's
and then we can
self-addressed,
put it
yeah.
on the Orinoco page, you know, like we can have it in multiple spots for community
I
members.
think it gives us a good place to start, to get, to know what other people are thinking or saying. I mean, even on February 1st, we'll have some information to be like, this is what people are
They get
saying.
theirs mailed back. I mean, we can grab the mail.
Okay. I think that sounds like a good idea.
So it's.
So that's going out on the
Open it.
citizens or the Gold Rush?
Citizens, not the
Not-
Gold
not-
Rush page, no.
No Gold Rush page, that's just,
Vendors
it's
will
gonna
look
be
at that,
citizens.
yeah,
If we could put it on the City of Orinoco page, you know, on the City of Orinoco Facebook page and the citizens page, and then I don't know if,
Make it non-shareable.
yeah, actually.
So you
Well,
don't
you
have, so you don't have a
can't from
local
citizens
vendor
page.
sharing it on. the
Yeah, we
Gold
can't,
Rush
we
page.
can't share from citizens because it's a private group, so, I mean, they could copy the link and share it,
We can take a screenshot or something.
Yeah.
We can stop that.
but,
And that's fine, though. We're not, I don't think anything's being said in those questions that,
we're just doing an
questions that
interest, we're
mean-
just doing an interest
No,
survey.
because her Christine's point's well taken. We got vendors on there too, that
I know.
are local vendors.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna
And I
see-
worry about the narrative, right? You know,
Absolutely.
people will say things
Yeah.
or, did you hear we're not having Gold Rush this year? That's not what we're saying yet.
We got enough cutthroats. so we
Just
don't
that-
Don't even put the yet, okay?
Yeah, we'll just do an interest.
No, I'm not saying, we're
Interest.
not gonna say anything like that on Facebook at all, at all. I'm saying our questions are very general. And they are not even, you know, we're not really saying that they apply to this year or.
Yeah.
future years, or it's a very general question.
Maybe maybe one of the questions should say is, what do you see the future of Orinoco Gold Rush? See, what do you see for the future of Orinoco?
Yeah, that's.
You have to use the correct name.
Orinoco Gold.
I
You have
don't
to use
know if
the
they wanna go-
correct name.
Downtown Orinoco Gold
I
Rush.
don't know,
maybe.
yeah, I don't know if we wanna go there yet. No.
With that one?
Yeah, cause I think we just wanna do the first one, cause I mean, then you're looking at what,
Respond.
yeah, let's see what they respond at first. I mean,
I just wanna know, do they want Gold Rush? I mean, the way that we're wording it, they're picking Gold Rush or they're gonna pick something else. They're
Yeah.
gonna say, I want Gold Rush, or they're gonna say, I want a different thing. And that's gonna tell us a lot right away, just with clicking boxes.
Who says you can't do both?
We could do that. We just need time to do it.
Yeah, it's just, we don't.
Time and people.
So we'll close it
We
February
could
first.
definitely do both.
Do we want to close it February first at noon? My form.
January 30th. Our meeting is February 1st.
Oh, yeah, but it's gonna automatically go into us.
Yeah, but if we launch it tomorrow, that's a whole month. Oh, heck yeah. Do like March 31st.
No.
March 31st. I
March
mean,
31st.
I mean,
January.
January 31st. Good.
January 31st.
I need to go to bed. Oh, yeah, like January 31st.
Yeah, and I can email out like the spreadsheet as it gets filled too, if there's a lot of response right away or whatever, but, because it's pretty easy
Well, the
to.
good thing about the survey is it's all gonna be in one spot. We can just.
It's in one spot and I could just send you guys a link to where the spreadsheet is, that you guys can look at it anytime also. So, I mean, that's the cool thing about it.
Awesome.
But yeah, and you want me to ask for Nate required,
I think we should do the auto reply. Thank you for taking our survey.
yeah,
If you'd like more information about Gold Rush or have questions, please email us at,
yeah. And then, but do we want to collect email addresses and names?
we'll have it if they reply. If they reply to it, we'll have it.
Well, it doesn't automatically collect it unless I. You mean as far as?
So we do an auto reply, thank you for taking our survey and give the information. Then and we just put in the email, they're gonna email us, I want more information, and boom, they go into the,
No, I mean, I didn't know if you wanted to collect it while we're on who was filling out the survey.
oh,
Like, is it gonna be five
Need
of the
to know
same
that.
people or?
I think we just do an auto reply and say, if you want more, email us at, and then we'll just collect only the people who are interested. That's all we wanna know.
Okay.
It's only people.
Oh, you know what I'll say? If you want to be contacted, provide your I can make a non-required spot where they can add an email address.
That would work too.
That way it's in the form. If they
If you'd like more information or have questions,
would like
please
to
add
be
your email.
contacted, we'll go ahead and.
That
and
way,
then
those
put
that
it
think
here.
it's beneficial will probably contact.
Yeah,
And
because
that's
that way
what
we
we're
at least
looking for, we're
get.
asking for feedback. We want to hear from people. So
Yeah.
do it.
Okay, so I'll add a line for that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll send it out tonight to you guys.
Just so
However
we
you
have
wanna do
the-
it.
Blind copy.
Blind
to
copy,
everybody.
yeah, that's right. Blind copy, and then if there's something that needs to be added, reworded, whatever, reordered, whatever, I'll do it right away. And then that way we can,
I think as long as we keep it at the two basic questions, it should be
yeah,
fine.
two basic questions, and then if they wanna provide their information, they can. Okay. Yeah, that works.
Super.
then I'll just
All
shut
right,
it off.
Well, it's 8:10.
Yeah. Most of this other stuff we kind of dinged on.
Yeah, I don't think there's any pressing questions or.
No.
I have a comment on the payment for Alyssa, the new business. I had emailed, Alyssa about, the gift cards. And she said she didn't want them this year or last year.
Would she prefer cash
No, she just said,
to forego it?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. yeah,
Interesting.
yep, so we didn't give her anything for last year.
Okay.
Respect her wishes, but we would like to do that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is back to the unapproved meeting minutes for November 6th.
Yeah,
You have me listed as a board member. I'm not a board member.
oh, you know what, I don't know why I don't read that.
I don't have none, not this year.
So I think I have,
Oh, in the November minutes, it has
So-
Joanne listed attendance under board members.
I'll change
Oh,
it
I
to
see.
non-board member and then put your name there. Is that okay?
Thank you. Good.
I forgot that we. I thought, just correct that. So, yeah.
Or, yeah, but what's your actual title? That should be added. That should be part of the template.
Event coordinator.
Yes, event coordinator.
Coordinator. Yeah, I can do that and then have a second line for just event coordinator.
It
And
really
then
should
if she's
be
here or not, okay, perfect.
in the template. She's at almost all. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'll update that and then finalize them.
Trying to update that.
Yeah, and then I'll make a finalized copy and then.
Yeah.
Have to vote on anything tonight?
After you make that change, and change the title to approved meeting minutes.
It'll be approved and then I'll put the date on the bottom that it was approved today. Like on the last page. Yeah, approval date will be January 4th.
Can I add one thing to new business before we close?
No more.
Just one
The
quick
last
thing.
thing.
I feel like it's gonna be, we can do it something to consider. We don't have to motion on it. So when Dana resigned from council, we assumed that what went with it was Gold Rush and lots was going on and whatever. Looking back out of curiosity, and I'm not doing this to trick anybody into anything, but Dana actually was on the Gold Rush board before she was a city council member. So she actually was voted on the board by Gold Rush before becoming a council member, but then just stayed on Gold Rush because she was a council member. She has had her break. She does understand our situation. She does want to be involved as a volunteer as much as possible. She does have a wealth of information. I just want to propose or throw out there, that her time and her experience would be valuable. If anybody would have a problem with her working as a volunteer or kind of being, doing a subcommittee or if anybody would be willing to have her back on the board. I don't know if there's a continued working relationship or absolutely not for some people. But she is one person that's available that we could use. I'm just throwing it out there. And we don't have to act on it at all. We can do that later.
And also, Kristen, I spoke with Kristen.
Did you?
And she too has said that she loves Gold Rush. She'll volunteer for anything that we need her for.
Prep stuff.
She just said for, anything, she'll volunteer. And so when Ryland and I talked about the K lot, the VFW being, like a playground or something, more this coming year, I thought of Kristen. I thought she'd be good to like organize that and help
Her
out
kids
with
would be
that.
good at helping her with that too.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Anyway, so she's too has said that she'll help out.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any issue with Dana coming on as a volunteer? Or just, but she has a lot of information.
I think that mostly, I think she would be, really helpful for Joanne. I think, she
Yeah.
wants to help with that lot stuff. She wants to help you with like contracts. And I think it really wants to be involved with like maintaining vendor relationships. She's also very good with words. So some of these things that we're
Oh, the
talking
Facebook
about, like
stuff.
letters
Yeah.
that need to be written in case we don't do the show, or other things that need to be said on social media or whatever. I think she could be helpful, but obviously everybody would need to be aware of the fact that she would be involved with that, so, yeah.
Well, give that some thought, but I think at this point, it'd be nice to have citizens that would help, and if we have a volunteer with a lot of experience as a citizen, I think that would be good.
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion, meeting adjourned, 8:15.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Oh, my God.
I said second.
Yeah, welcome, Paul.
Yeah, that was an interesting first Gold Rush meeting for you.
That's an
This year.
atypical.
This year.
This year.
No, that's why I corrected
Throwing in
what I was
this,
saying.
yeah.
Do it
On and off or.
on and off.
Forever, right now.
Since 2001, that.
Okay, so I'll go and work on the.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
I don't know if you've got it with, I got one. if you need.
All right, I'll go work on the survey thing in November and get that to you guys.
Thank you.
Tonight, so that it's done, and then I'm
There's a lot of
gonna
nobody
send it
can
out
pick
to all the employees that I have and all the whatever.
Good night, boys.
Good night.
And so hopefully that.